Tonight is the CNN presidential debate, and a new report is giving us a closer look at both candidates' strategies. NBC News reporting President Joe Biden has been holed up at Camp David with advisors, scripting put-downs and one-liners that they hope will trigger a tantrum that makes Donald Trump sound unglued. Trump is taking a more casual approach, mixing private policy sessions with campaign appearances in which he has predicted without evidence that Biden will be jacked up on drugs that sharpen his performance on the debate stage. Meantime, here's how your D.C. media elite expect the night to go.
What we will see in tomorrow night's debate is yet another example of just how unfit for the presidency Donald Trump is. Donald Trump will lie. And we know that he will lie because we know that he will speak.
I believe the contrast on policy and, yes, on temperament and on fitness for office will be even starker and will be a great thing for President Biden.
The only candidate who sounds manic is Donald Trump. It is impossible to debate him, and it is arguably a waste of time. He interrupts, he bullies, he stalks and acts creepy, and then says the white supremacy part out loud with a bullhorn. And he's also a diminished figure since the last time he ran for president.
Joe Concha is a Fox News contributor and joins us now. So, Joe, the pundits are doing what they do. But I am so interested in the amount of information we're getting from the Biden campaign on President Biden's strategy. Like, if we know that the zingers and one-liners are written in advance, they just don't have the same effect. So what do you think about that? And also, what will you be looking for with both candidates tonight?
Well, greetings from Atlanta, and you're exactly right. Comedy only works, it only resonates, Carly and Todd, when you don't see it coming, right? And if we're hearing in advance the Biden campaign actually leaking that they have all these zingers ready, I know we live in a world that's built on viral sound bites and a media that loves like the burn book stuff as far as, see, Biden won because he got in this barb against Donald Trump about being a convicted felon. I'm sorry. I think in the end, the issues will matter in terms of the contrast between Donald Trump and Joe Biden in terms of, do things cost a lot more than they did when Donald Trump was president? Yes, 20% on average. Is violent crime out of control in American cities to the point where people are moving out of places like California and New York for places like Florida and Georgia and Tennessee and Texas? Yes, they are. Have millions of people come across the border since Joe Biden took office, including hundreds of terrorists, according to the terror watch list? Yes, they have. Are we now embroiled in two wars and giving billions of dollars overseas? And do Americans like that very much? Not sure. So I could go through the litany here, but the bottom line is that if Joe Biden thinks that zingers are going to win a debate, maybe with the media, they'll celebrate it as, see, gotcha. But I think in the end, the people want to hear about the issues. And more importantly, and nobody's really talking about this all that much, what is Joe Biden's plans for the next 4 years to make this country better than it is currently right now? We don't hear about the future all that much from this president. We only hear about how horrible Donald Trump is and saving democracy while trying to jail their opponent in doing so.
On the zinger front, I would just add, I think it's a dangerous strategy to force all this information, these zingers and one-liners, in Joe Biden's head, because that in and of itself could trip him up if he's trying to think of these throughout the course of the debate. But I think you hit the key point on the head. Democrats and their allies in the media know that they lose on the issues. And so they're focused on this temperament narrative. One New York Times headline reading, quote, Joe Biden, the old school politician in a new school era, while Time magazine says Donald Trump only has one debate mode, bullying. Explain this temperament narrative that the media is trying to poison the well with. And Joe, do you think it's going to work?
It's another distraction, Todd, to your point, right? It's all about the personality and the temperament. We've already seen Donald Trump as president. We've now seen Joe Biden as president. We know what their temperaments are, but we know what the results have been under one man and another. And again, I think people are more interested in results and record than they are about temperament. Now, to that point, Donald Trump has acknowledged that in the first debate in 2020 that he may have been too aggressive, that he tried to bulldoze Joe Biden and didn't allow him to speak and be Joe Biden. So in doing so, with all the interruptions, that may have hurt him by his own admission. The second debate in 2020, I went back and watched it. He was much more moderated and much more patient, and his temperament was quite good. And many people thought that he won that debate. And then we see these photos of him on the campaign trail. He has been a happy warrior over the last couple of months. months, even through these trials. And that optimistic Trump, a Trump that uses humor and mockery and smiles a lot, I think we're going to see more of that Trump not taking debate tonight because he knows that plays into everybody's hands. But to your point before, Todd, by the way, which is very telling, when 16 people are advising you, and the Biden campaign actually leaked that for some reason, as if that's a good thing, Biden's CPU at 81 years old may fry at some point because you feed him all these different lines and information. I don't know if he's going to be able to handle that well, especially after a week of prep. Sometimes you could over-prepare for a big event, and that may happen here, especially considering that Joe Biden doesn't have a teleprompter or script to save him. This is all going to have to come from his memory, and he's going to have to speak extemporaneously. And as we've seen when that happens, it's clean up on aisles 5, 17, and 24.
Yeah, and then there's also this New York Times article. They say 2 candidates, no audience, 29 New York Times fact checkers. They've employed that many people to fact check the debate. And then the first line, we got to leave it here, Joe, but the first line of this article talks about how they've employed all these fact checkers because one of the candidates is convicted of 34 felonies and what he called, without evidence, a rigged trial. So talk about tipping your hand to how this fact checking is going to go even before the debate even starts. Joe, we do have to leave it there. Thank you so much for joining us from Atlanta. Yeah, you're down there.
A long day.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.